Hello, everybody, and welcome to another series of episodes on Poland Daily Travel. We've got some really cool stuff in store for you. We're going northeast of Warsaw. We're going to go to Półtusk, which is on the beautiful Narew River. It's a great place to hang out in the summer with its 800-meter-long cobbled marketplace. This was once a major stopping-off place for coaches and commerce on the way from Warsaw to Vilnius. Heck, even Napoleon stayed here one night. Actually, it was 2 or 3 nights after the Battle of Półtusk. There's also a nice, affordable hotel in the castle with a very pleasant restaurant. There you can get all the Polish food you love to eat. From Półtusk, we head back to Sieradz, which is just a tiny village at the juncture, the confluence of the Bug and the Narew rivers. From there, the Bug and the Narew combine to make Lake Zegja, or the Zegja Reservoir. Talk about picturesque. I mean, you won't want to miss this when you come to Warsaw. If you want to see any nearby nature at all, well, you have a lot. There's the Campinos Forest as well. But this is well worth a trip. But watch out. A lot of people here in the summer. It's extremely popular. From the Zegja Reservoir, the combined rivers flow all the way to Modlin. Modlin's where the new modern airport is, the adjunct to the Chopin Airport in Warsaw, where you can get all kinds of, let's say, cheaper flights. And you can always stop off by the river and look at the Modlin Fortress. This is really impressive. First built by Napoleon and extended by the Russians, there are 2.5 kilometers of barracks. 20,000 troops would have once lived here. So this is an exciting group of episodes looking at something completely different, something unexpected, very near Warsaw, a strategic area for kings and princes over the centuries, and a strategic place for tourists today. Hope you enjoy it. Watch Poland Daily Travel. Why do we do it? We do it for you. I'm Will Richardson. Thanks for watching. Well, we made it. We're here. Light's going, but we did finally find it. We're here at the fortress, the fortress called Modlin. This place has a really strategic history. It's a very important place in the military history of Poland, which throughout the ages and down the centuries has meant the history of the nation itself. Behind me you see the Narew, and just down here, just around the bend, is the Vistula, and it flows right into it right there. So this is historically an extremely important place. Everybody's built forts here. In the early Piast dynasty, they had a fortress here. Also, the Swedes built a fortress here, and of course, Napoleon built a fortress here. And if you've been following this series of programs, we started off in Półtusk with a house where Napoleon actually stayed after he had won the Battle of Półtusk against the Russians in December of 1806. So he stayed in a house there in Półtusk, right on the Narew. So we've come right down, I don't know, 40 kilometers or so. And above us, all along here, is the fortress of Modlin. And it's a vast complex that was originally built by Napoleon from 1806 to over several years. I don't remember exactly how long, 1810 or something like that. And then was taken over and extended by the Russians, who of course had a big fort in Warsaw called the Citadel, where they're putting a huge museum, military museum now, which will be fascinating, I'm sure, because the military history of Poland is amazing. It's a history of really European conflict over the ages, over the last 1,000 years. I mean, everybody virtually has fought battles in Poland, from, well, you name it, from the Vikings to the Tatars and so forth, as you know, into the modern age. So this is the Narew. We followed it down here. It gets smaller after it flows through the Zegja Reservoir. You saw how big that was in the previous program. So it's become a bit narrower here. but it's going to meet the Vistula. Actually, it's the Narew and the Bug together, which it's called that. It's called the Bug-Narew River at this point, from Zegja to Lake Zegja to the Vistula. So you can see they're really strategic. And I want to say something else. We saw in an earlier program in this series in Pultusk, we saw the longest square in Europe, a cobblestone square from the Middle Ages, late Middle Ages, and it was, was it 800 meters, I believe. Well, we got a barracks up here that was built, which is 2,250 meters long. Think about that, a barracks, 2,250 meters long, and think about how many soldiers they had in that barracks. This was an extremely, perhaps the most important point, being the juncture of the Bug-Narew River and the Vistula River, probably the most strategic point in this whole part of the world in Central Europe. So it's no wonder that people have fought and died over this area for a very, very long time. And it's also worth noting, there's a plaque up here on the wall as you come in to this area that is talking about the establishment of the first military port. I believe it's military port after World War I, when Poland was about to be newly created. Hadn't been yet, but had been promised to be fully formed. And that was just in December of 1918. So they were still negotiating, but Poland was getting its freedom, which is why Polish Independence Day is on November the 11th. Because on November the 11th, 1918, the First World War ended. So this was the first military port, right here, and fittingly so, I guess. But as you can see, the river is gently, gently wide. It's almost hardly seems to be even moving at this point, even though right around the bend it joins the Vistula and heads north to Gdansk. Would have been a huge amount of trade going up and down this river in the Middle Ages and even after, as long as they were using barges before started using trains more to move freight in the 19th century. At any rate, we might take a walk further and see what we can see. We haven't got permission to go in because everything's closed today and closed because of the unpleasantness with the coronavirus. So we'll walk down, and I think we might be able to walk down and give you an idea of how the fortress looks from the river, because from the other side it's spectacular. I mean, the wall just seems to go on forever. It goes all the way actually to the Vistula, and we're still some ways away from where this river actually meets the bigger river. Okay, so let's go see if we can't get you some pictures and do what we can. Unfortunately, we can't take you in, but when the situation in the world gets a little bit better, and certainly in this part of the world, when it gets a little bit better, we'll come back and we'll go inside and look at the fortress, because it is an amazing place, but it would take all day to go through it. All right, Poland Daily Travel. I'm Will Richardson. Thank you for watching. Okay, everybody, we did make it in. We have walked down. The barracks is right up here on the hill. I mean, this really is incredible. It housed 20,000 soldiers. It was expanded by the Russian military in the 1820s and 30s. And it held 20,000 soldiers, and it's over 2 kilometers long, this continuous barracks. Behind me, of course, you'll see, well, there's a remnants of some kind of, I don't know what that was, some kind of power station or something, it looks like. And over here is the Vistula. So the Narew is flowing into the Vistula, and the Vistula heads straight that direction from here. So there we are, which would be north, I suppose. Yeah. So that's it. That's the end of our destination, and it's it's been a nice journey. I can tell you, these last 5 episodes have been a lot of fun, and it's very interesting, refreshing on the history of and the beauty of this area. Let's face it, it's beautiful, a beautiful, beautiful area. You could do worse. You must come here when you come to Poland. You will have an extremely good time. Get yourself a car, or get yourself a kayak, or get yourself a car, a kayak, and a bicycle, and enjoy yourselves. It's amazing. And in the summer, you're going to have a whale of a time. So all I can say is, what a day, what a day. Poland Daily Travel. I'm Will Richardson. Thanks for watching.